Hello, friends. I wanted to encourage you this morning with a scripture from the book of Hosea, especially if you are one who has been feeling more dry lately, or you've just gone through a particularly hard stretch of life, of time. And, sometimes in these hard times of life, it's not that we lose our faith. We know God is real. We know He's for us, but sometimes we just don't always feel it. We don't feel that, the closeness, even though He's right there with us. And this scripture really speaks to that. So I wanted to encourage you with this. This is in Hosea, starting with verse 14. It says, "But look, I am going to allure her. I'm going to draw her in." God is speaking about His people. And it says, I'm gonna lead her into the desert. So there are times in which God, for, I don't know, maybe like reset purposes, or really to get our heart re-engaged, sometimes He allows us to go into some places that are a little bit harder, a little bit drier. And it says, in that place, though, I'm going to speak to her heart. You see, He never takes us somewhere in order to kind of let us be on our own or figure things out on our own. That's not our Father. No, He's going to take us to a place where He can speak to our heart, and we can hear Him and feel Him. And it says, in that place, I'm going to give her back her vineyards. So sometimes the places that feel dry, actually God's intention is to restore fruitfulness to your life, to our lives. And it says, in this place, I'm going to make, it says the Vale of Achor. That's a reference to the Valley of Misfortune. So, especially if you've gone through things where it just feels like, man, it seems like a lot of heartbreaks and things not going well. He says, I'm going to turn that Valley of Misfortune into a gateway of hope. And of course, this is what we all need, is the hope, the knowing that good is always, more good is always coming, because we have a Father who turns all things for our good. And it says, in that place, she, meaning us, the followers of Jesus, the lovers of God, we will respond as when we were young, as on the day when she came up from Egypt. So now this is a reference to, to the Israelites when they were brought out of slavery and captivity, but it's also a reference to you and me, really, of remembering the times. Maybe it's when you were first saved. Some of our stories, we just got saved out of something, really horrendous, and there was just a huge release and freedom. If that's not your story, just remember the times when God came and met you when you were in a bad place. You were caught in a bad place, and suddenly His love just touched you and tenderized you, and you realized, His mercy was real, and that He loves you no matter what. So remember those times. It's really a reference also to Revelation 2:4, where Jesus, beckons us to come back to our first love, right? And it says, when that day comes, the Lord declares, you are going to call me my husband, and no longer will you call me my master. So there's this imagery of us, budding and blossoming and blooming. Here it is in one more scripture in the Song of Songs, and this is from the Passion Translation, where Jesus is saying to us, he is the groom, we are the bride in this imagery, but He's saying to us, who is this one? He's looking at us and saying, who is this one? Look at her now. Like, look how she's grown through the hard things. She arises out of the desert, clinging to her beloved. There you go. Same imagery. And Jesus says, when I awakened you, I awakened your innermost being with the travail of birth. And just the other day, I referenced this about us being birthed at the cross, when the spear was put into a side and there was blood and water. That's certainly the imagery of birth, where we were birthed just like Eve was taken out of Adam's side as his perfect counterpart. So you and I were birthed out of the side of Jesus to be his perfect counterpart. So I just want to encourage you that no matter what you're feeling, this is actually the truth. And that Jesus is crazy in love with you. He says to you, you are my perfect counterpart. And just so you know, friend, it's not up to us to get our acts together to be the perfect bride for him, the perfect match for him, if you will. It's actually something he says he will do. By my grace, I am speaking into the beauty of who you are, so that you believe it and rise up and just blossom. So I bless you. I bless you. I bless you today. And you know what? Just go spend time right now with Jesus. He loves you so much.